Deborah Lynn here in the studio. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today, we're gonna have fun making whimsical Christmas cards. The last one that I just posted was a little bit more conservative and a little bit more traditional. This time, we're gonna have fun and have some whimsy. And I wanted to go with the color story that I've already started, and that is these Christmas ornaments that I made. That's also on my channel, so if you want to see how I made these mixed media Christmas ornaments, what I put in them to make them turn out so unique and cool, so please check that out. Okay, see how pretty they are? It's just they're really cool. So we're gonna make the cards that go with all of this. I'm gonna put this to the side, get my little funky little ornament holder there away. And so this is the two tutorials back. I made the Christmas balls, and then I made gift box for the balls. And I just got these at Hobby Lobby, and I painted them with acrylic paint. You can paint them however you want. And I painted this one in green because my daughter loves green. And then I threw in some Christmas ornaments that I painted up and put them in some little crinkle paper so they don't get damaged and they stay nice every year. You just put them right back in there. And voila. And then I put a ribbon on it. I did that in the whole tutorial, so please check out that tutorial. And now we're going to get started with our whimsical cards. Put that back there. Okay, so what we're gonna use is we're gonna use 70-pound drawing paper. This is just a huge sketch pad that you can get at any of your, you can get them on Amazon. You could pick them up at any of your local, like Hobby Lobby or Michael's in the U.S. If you're outside of the U.S., I'm not sure which stores you get it from, but this one comes with 24 sheets. They're 18 by 24, so it makes this big sheet of crazy paper, and that's what we're gonna make. We're gonna make crazy paper, and then it doesn't matter what you do with your crazy paper. Okay, it can be a hot mess. That's okay. It's just an explosion of color, because what we're going to end up doing is using that paper and cutting it up. So again, doesn't matter, but we're also going to put something in there that's going to make it really, really fun. So here's my drawing sheet. I'm just going to get a piece of paper here. Okay, so now at this point, I've got my paper ready, and I'm going into voiceover here. I'm going to speed up the film just a little bit, so you're going to see that I'm kind of working kind of fast. I did this at 2 times. You can always speed this down. You can always go up to the controls where the little icon is. It looks like a little gear, and you can click on that and you can adjust the speed if you want to see me working slower, but then of course my voice then gets really slow. Or if you want it faster, you can do it faster, but then I'll sound like Mickey Mouse. So you'll have to adjust your volume so you don't have to hear all that craziness, but you can just watch along. But I do drop in some helpful hints along the way, so you might want to just stick around if you can and listen through all the way. So what I've got here are just acrylic paintbrushes. I'm not going to be pulling out my watercolor paintbrushes. I'm going to be using my acrylic ones, because I just want to get, not that I'm afraid of hurting them, because I am using watercolor here. Okay, this is liquid watercolor by Dr. P.H. Martin. This is the Hydrus ones. And I can use my watercolor brushes. Use what you have. You don't have to go out and buy special brushes, okay? I just happen to have acrylic brushes, and they're big and chunky, and I can cover the sheet of paper a lot faster with a bigger brush than using smaller ones. Now, I have made these Arty papers. I call them Arty papers. I've made these Arty papers with smaller brushes, okay? And I've taken more time, and just kind of more of a relaxing thing to do is just to kind of spend some time just playing and doodling, where I really get into more detail with playing with the Posca pens in the very end. This time I'm not going to do so much of that. It doesn't really need it, okay? Because I don't want too much information on the paper for these whimsical ornaments and these whimsical palm tree cards that I'm going to make. So, but I am going to bling them out. So I'm going to get all this paint down, okay? And then we're going to bling them out. Right now, I'm just using a wood block stamp, okay? This is a great investment. I got this one at a craft store here in the United States. You can find them on Amazon. Probably not the exact one, but you can find something similar. It just has writing all over it, just a semic writing. You can't make out what it says or anything like that. And it just puts that extra texture down. And so I'm just building that texture and putting layers on. Again, use whatever paints you have to do this. Use whatever you want. What's really cool is everybody's ornaments, when we do these, are going to look different than the other person's, okay? And I cannot wait to see some of your attempts at this. Some of you guys are going to be a lot more methodical in cutting everything out perfect, because that right brain, you might be a little bit right and left brain, that little bit of that left brain is going to take control and want everything to be really precise, whereas I'm very, very right brained. I'm very, very free and flowing and creative, and things don't have to be perfect with me. I embrace the perfectly imperfect aspect to my artwork. I also want to keep the aesthetic of my artwork loose all the way around. That means if I'm painting with acrylics, I want my acrylics to be loose. If I'm painting with watercolor, I want my watercolor to be loose. If I'm painting flowers are loose, landscapes are loose, buildings are loose. Do you get what I'm saying? If I'm doing abstracts, you know what I mean? I want all of this to have, there's cohesiveness. Now, the other thing that's very cohesive with my art, now we're all different. The one thing that I always like to do when I doodle is I like to make boxes. Now, some people might make little circles and do circles. You did see me do a little doodling with circles, but that's not my main thing that I typically will do. I will make boxes, and you kind of see that in my art with the pixelated thing that I do with a brush here. As you can see, I make these little squares with my square brush, and that's very normal. When it comes into my abstracts, you'll see a lot of this pixelated look come into play, because it's just, there's muscle memory there. There's something there that's always been there since I've been a young adult doodling, or a young child doodling on paper. You know, you doodle certain things over and over and over again, and it just kind of stays with you your whole life. And making these cubism kind of stuff has always been a thing for me. So you see that playing out on my Arty paper, and whatever, maybe you do swirls, okay? And your stuff's all swirls. Just be true to who you are. Really pull from you. This is just me. This is just an example of me, my authentic self on paper. What I want you to do is pull your authentic self out onto your paper. Think about those things that you doodle, okay? And that are muscle memory for you. That when you're sitting on a telephone conversation and you're doodling, you're not thinking about really what you're drawing. You're just kind of doodling and listening to somebody. I know you've been there and you've done that. I've done it a million times when you're just doodling. Think about those things and then kind of bring that in to your Arty paper. and see what comes out of you. Might be really cool and interesting. So now, and then throw in other things like I'm doing right here with a stamp. I'm just using this stencil. It's not a stamp, it's a stencil. And I'm just spraying through the stencil and adding texture. We want to create those other textures on top of our artistic flair, okay? And now I'm going to just go in with another stamp, and that one has a dragonfly on it. Now that one is found on Amazon. I'll make sure that I put it in my Amazon store. So it's a really cool stamp. It's got the dragonfly on it. It even has like a little feather at the top. So if you just wanted to do the feathers, you could just paint that feather section and utilize it that way. Right, but for what I'm doing, I'm just using the whole stamp. And I'm finding out that the dark color that I chose to put on it, I just used watercolor and just swiped it over the stamp and then pressed it into the pigment. It just was a little bit dark and it wasn't showing up. So I'm going to get my Dr. P.H. Martin Bleed Proof White out here. And it's just a very thick white watercolor. And I'm just going to brush that over that stencil. And it's actually a, not a stencil, it's a stamp. And I'm just going to press that into the paint. And some of that paint is wet, so I'm getting different values. I'm getting, maybe if I'm pressing it into the blue, I'm getting some of the white, the bright white, but I'm also sometimes, some of it is fading into like a light blue color. So I'm getting some variations, which is really cool. And so again, I'm just going to do this in a few spots and then move on to the next step. And I have days where that's all I do is just make this arty paper. And then I just stash it away. I just put it in a bag and hang it in my art closet. And when I'm ready to use it, I can pull all these papers out and utilize it. And you can tear it up and put it into maybe you do some art journaling, or maybe you want to do an acrylic painting that's maybe abstract and have some of these arty paper in there. Just the sky's the limit what you can do with it. You can cover all kinds of things. You can cover a box with it. You can decoupage with it. It's a lot of fun, but you do need to seal this, okay? And I'm going to talk about sealing it. Now, right now, this is just a piece of lace, a runner that I found at Goodwill thrift store. And, you know, you pay like $1.99 for it, and I'm not going to invest a lot of money into this stuff. So when I go into a thrift store, I always hit the linen section and look for doilies or lace. Now, the real thin laces, you're not going to get or if it's a tight weave, you're not going to get the best result. So look for the ones that are more of an open weave. And after a while, these spray inks can kind of build up in that fabric and they get a little bit stiff and crunchy, and then you need to probably wash them. But for the most part, I just drape it over my ring light and let it dry and fold it up and put it back in my storage basket. And that's all you need to do. And so, but they're perfect to have for these mark making things, and you can utilize them in so many different ways. And you know what? You can even keep them after a while because some of them hold really cool colors, and you can actually use them in other crafting of if you're making fabric stuff. Now here, I'm just got a liner brush out, and I'm going in with the Dr. P.H. Martin, and I'm just doing what I also like to do. I like to make these little scallops or waves. It's something that I've also seen play out in some of my whimsical pieces when it comes to me making my flower towns. So I try to be very true to my own aesthetic, and that's what I want you to do on your arty paper. We're going to bling this paper out here in just a minute. Right now, I'm just getting the basic paints down. Then I'm going to get into using mica. Now, the mica is a gold paint. I'll have it in my Amazon shop. I'll also, there might even be a description drop down that'll show some of the products. Now, I can't put all the products in that description, and it'll take you to like Walmart or, all these different stores. If you use the Amazon link that's in my description, I make a nice commission from Amazon to help with my I make a small commission, and it helps support my channel. So if you use that, I really appreciate it. Even though I make a very small commission on the other ones, I see my greater results coming from the Amazon shop. So just heads up on that. So here is that gold mica. It is a vibrant and bright, and I'm glad I threw it down. And if you don't have it, that's fine. If you have shimmery paints, metallic paints, get them out and use them, put them into play. But this gold, because I use this gold on the top ferrule, is that what it's called? Finial? Of the ornament on the drawing and the gold ribbon that it hangs from, that gold that's in the actual ornament helps tie it all together. So just little sprinkles of this gold across the paper is going to help. So I'm putting that on. Then we're going to get into blinging this out in just a minute, and we'll talk about that once I bring it out and show you and introduce you to this. If you haven't seen this before, we're going to be using micro beads. Now, these micro beads are really tiny beads. They're micro beads, and sometimes you'll see nail artists using them. But I found these in the craft store. You can find these in the, let's see, what section? Yeah, I think it's like in the card making section at Michael's craft store in the United States. If they're out there in other craft stores, you'll have to check the craft stores that you have. You might be able to find something like them, or you could use glitter. You could use all kinds of different things. So think outside the box if you don't have them. You can purchase through Amazon, like nail art, micro beads that way. And I think I have a few of those in my Amazon store for those that need to purchase through Amazon to get something similar. So you can check that out. And so what I had in that little jar were leftover micro beads from a different time when I was using them. Whatever's left over, I pour into these leftover Dr. P.H. Martin bleed proof white containers. Those little glass containers, the label comes right off, and you can clean them so easily, and because it's just watercolor that's in there, so they wash up real easy, and they're perfect for micro beads. They're also great for your sewing basket, for all little things that you need to put in your sewing basket. So they're actually very helpful little jars. So please recycle those. They're definitely good to have. And so you can see that I'm putting all different kinds of colors down. You might be saying, well, why are you putting all these different colors down? Well, when I start moving these micro beads around, what you're going to see is that it's going to look like all these micro beads come together and make one color, just like mixing paint. You mix a few colors together, you're going to get one solid color. But with the micro beads, because they can't actually blend together, they when up close, you can see the little aquas with the magentas and all those different variations up close. From afar, it looks more like a solid color. So that's what's nice about blending them, is that you get those variations for when you're making the cards and somebody's holding it. They can see all those different colors. So it's just a matter of coaxing. There I have a stubborn area where things are just not sticking. So I kind of have to press those micro beads down into that wet matte medium. And the way I offload all the excess is just to pour it onto another sheet of paper. And then I transfer all those excess beads. That's what you see in here. I'm going to show you how I go about doing this. And I'm just going to dump all these excess beads onto this paper and get the container open, fold the paper, and then dump it in. This is how I do it. Very easy. Super, super easy. Voila. Works like a charm. So now that I have everything down and I make sure that everything is dry before I go to the next step, and that is to put this fixative spray on here. This is by Spectralite. You'll find this in my Amazon shop also. It's been around for hundreds of years. I think it's over 100 years. And the masters and all, it's been used, okay? And it's not toxic. You can spray it in your room. It's not offensive. There's no real strong smell or anything like that. And it works beautifully. It kind of holds down. It's that, just hold it in place, kind of medium. But if you have active pigment in there and you put too much on, things can start bleeding. But this paper, it doesn't matter if that happens, because the paper's already busy. So, and then I let that all dry. I make sure it's dry. And then I go in with this big brush and I just loosen all of those microbeads that might be loose. And I do that until I'm seeing that things are not really popping off the paper that much. Now you're going to get some random ones that come off, but that's to be expected. So now I just have my watercolor paper out. This is that bee paper that I used in another tutorial just recently. It's 6x9. It comes in like a pack of 50 for under $20 or right around the $20 mark for the United States dollar. So if you are in the United States, get yourself some bee paper. It's definitely a nice small swatch of paper to work from. It's 100% cotton, 140 pounds, cold press. It's worth having. You know, it's something that you just make sure you buy yourself a stack of that and you're good to go. So now part of the process is to just cut out some of the paper and just cut out random shapes. Do whatever shapes you want. And here's the thing. We are either left brain or we are right brain, right? And when we're creating, the best way to create freely and loose and really tap in and not have stress is to really lean right. Go really right brain, and don't analyze what you're doing with every precision of the cut, that it has to be super perfect. Having these, I think, a little bit wonky adds to their charm, okay? They're handcrafted. They are a little wonky. It's all to be expected. It's perfectly imperfect, okay? And it's kind of a little bit kind of sloppy art, but either you're going to be, or you're going to be really left brain. Maybe you're very corporate America and you're doing art now and you're struggling to learn how to get out of this. Everything has to be perfect. Everything's got to be cut even. Everything's got to be painted precisely. I can't have a smudge. All those things. You might be fretting about all kinds of stuff instead of just letting it go. Here's what I want you to do, you left brainers, okay, that want to go over to the right and think with your right brain, where you're more intuitive. If you can't get there and you struggle with perfection, okay, and everything's got to be perfect while you're creating, okay, and you want to loosen up, turn on a podcast, turn on the news, turn on something that you can listen to, that you can, or a book, maybe you can listen to somebody reading a book to you. Put something on that your brain is actively listening to, Okay. And then your right hand side of your brain is going to be actively switching into creative mode. Now, I'm so right brained that I can shut the world out so easily. I can just work right brain real easily. It's probably because I've been in a creative field for working for a long time and being creative, that I know how to be able to be in that mind space. So it's something that you have to kind of maybe, train yourself to get out of maybe more analytical thinking and stuff like that, and just get more intuitive and learn how to loosen up a little bit more. So when you cut these little shapes out, don't worry about what they look like. If they look goofy, embrace the goofy. They came from you. Okay? They are you. And if you're not happy with you, then slowly, as the more experience that you have with the art, the more things become more refined. Okay, so just enjoy your art, and others will see that when you enjoy your art. If you're stressed about your art, and you're sitting there and you're freaked out that you smudged I see it in groups. I see these poor people that have painstakingly painted something so precise, and you might be one of them. You're painting something so precise and you've spent days on a painting, and then you smudge it. And then you're in a freak out mode and you're in a group saying, what do I do? How do I fix this? And you're totally stressed out. Seriously, take a break. Take a break. Take a breath. It's just art. You can always make new, and not everything has to be perfect. But when you are in that perfection mode, where's the freedom? Where is the freedom? It seems stressful to me. And the last thing I want in my life at my age is to create art that gives me stress. I've already done the whole stress thing, working and having a career and doing all that and stressing about clients and deadlines and all that stuff. I am done. I am done with that stress. Now I just want to escape and create. And I'm not going to stress about my art. And I don't want you to stress about your art. So you got to start thinking more freely about not being so picky and so stressed out that you're looking for perfection. So on my channel, I embrace perfectly imperfect, okay? Your art doesn't have to look like it just came out of the manufacturing plant. These don't have to be die-cut shapes, okay? You can go buy a die-cut machine and make your cards look like they came from Hallmark. You can do that if you want. But I want to teach you guys that I think it's a little bit more, when somebody gets something that's handcrafted by you that doesn't look like it came from Hallmark. Here's the thing. When you get a Hallmark card and you get that from somebody, what do? You look at it, you read it, you throw it to the side. Seriously, you don't give it a second. You don't sit there and look at it and admire it and see the craftiness in it, or see the art in it, or see anything like that. And you just throw those cards away. They're a waste of money. And for everybody that's creating these cards, you're doing yourself a huge favor, because first of all, you're not giving all your money to these big box companies that make cards. You're making your own cards, and the people that are getting them are going to feel honored that you took the time to make them these beautiful cards. And yeah, so don't stress about it. Embrace the wonkiness. you know, and if there's a little smudge, I've got a couple of my my paintings, the ones that I did here, I got a little bit of gold smudged on a couple of them. I don't care. I don't care. It adds to the charm of the piece. And the person that gets it isn't going to say, oh my God, it's smudge. They're not going to say that. They're just going to admire the darling card that they received from you. Okay? And they're probably not going to throw it out, not going to throw it away. But here's what you need to make sure you tell them. Okay, this is really important. These cards that you're making, maybe you've been making watercolor cards. You've been, you know, you might have other active pigments on it. You got to let these people know what they're holding in their hand, that they've got an original piece of art here. It's, you know, it's a card, but it's got active pigments on it. So they should not get it wet. Even though you might spray it with something, there's always that chance that something could transfer. But so I always make sure that they know, please be careful with these cards. Don't put them anywhere wet where these pigments can get reactivated. Or if you want to put a little disclaimer note in there, that's also a charming little thing to do, that you could do that. So just make sure that you do that. And what you're seeing here is this mica ink that I'm using. And I'm just tying all my cards together with this aesthetic of putting these little dots on it. So I'm making a series. I've got that huge sheet of paper that I can do so much with, and I can create a series with that paper. Now, I've been thinking about another idea that I could do with the rest of that paper, and I may film that idea and put it out there for you. Not sure what's going to happen with it. You know, it's just an idea that's floating around in my head. I've got all kinds of things. I even have a great idea that's coming up in for Valentine's Day. You guys are going to like this one. This is going to be something that you definitely can give a gift to somebody that you care about, be it your mother, your sister, your aunt, your niece, the woman in your life. So it will be, it won't be something that, you know, you could probably give to your husband, because he probably would look at you like you had 3 eyes. So it'll be fun. And so that's a little surprise thing that I'm going to gear you up for, that's coming here. We're going to be doing that soon. And I'm excited to do it. And I'm going to do it in enough time. I might be doing it here, I don't know, soon, because I want you to be able to have enough time to buy the supplies and do it for yourself, so you can have it all, this project all done for Valentine's Day. So that's coming up, and I'm not giving you any more information other than that. And if you are in my Facebook group, I do have a group specifically for my followers that follow my YouTube channel here over on Facebook, where you can post the art that you're being inspired from my art, or you're trying to replicate, and then you can put it there on my Facebook page for the group. I just ask that random art not be posted in there. It's not a gallery for random art. There's a lot of Facebook groups for that kind of thing. This one is a little bit tighter knit group of those that are actively working on this aesthetic of being really loose and kind of using my ideas and techniques. So here, what am I doing now? I'm still working on gluing down these. I probably should have cut some of this off, because you guys just keep watching me glue these ornaments down as I chit chat. And so that's coming to the channel. And I'm hoping to do a little bit more card making for you guys. I do enjoy doing them. I'm not one to do seasonal stuff so much because I really like painting flowers. But we'll see. Maybe we can do some birthday cards or something. I don't know what we're going to do. But I do know Valentine's Day, I got a really cool idea coming for you. And that's just more matte medium. I just couldn't get this medium to stick because I keep dropping that brush in the water. I'm so used to doing that with watercolor that I keep getting it wet, and then it's like diluting the glue, and the glue's not reacting properly. So I had a little bit of a struggle with that glue. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is, now that I have them all cut out and paste, and I've got all my little gold accents, I made sure everything was dry. And now I'm just going to take some of the sari ribbon. You've seen me use this sari ribbon in the past. It's very organic. And I like it because, first of all, it's very raw. Working very loose aesthetic and keeping my art very consistent is key. And also using those things that are not, now if I was doing a more precise, perfectly cut ornament, maybe it'd be cute to use a cleaner line ribbon. But these really frayed silk ribbon, I don't cut all that fray off unless there's a big clump. Because they can get really balled up with tangles, and you got to rip those away. But there's straggly fibers that hang from this, and I don't cut those off. I don't get left brain on it. Okay, I embrace the perfectly imperfect and let the little fibers float around and add that little texture. So that's the beauty of the sari ribbon. So you don't want to be in there snipping away and making it perfect, okay? Because that's not what we're trying to perfect here. We're trying to keep everything really loose and free and maybe a little wonky. So I'm just going to put a bow on each one of these, and you can do whatever you want. You don't have to put bows on it. You could wrap the bow around it, or wrap the bow around if you have an envelope. I might try to go to the store and see if there's something that I can put these cards in, because I've got quite a few of these 6x9s that are folded in half. And I need to put them in something. So I still have to figure that out. I haven't done that. So now I'm on to the palm tree cards. Now I've got a piece of that watercolor paper there. Oh, do you see that paper? It says Recollections up there. It's got like gold to trim around it. I thought I would use that paper initially. It was junk. I wish I could take it back to the store, but of course I broke into the package and it is not good. So save your money. Don't buy it for painting. It's too slippery and it doesn't work. So I just went back to using my watercolor paper. This is just that B paper. I cut out a piece of trunk using the paper. Very simple. I had some scraps up there at the top. I'm utilizing those scraps. Don't throw them away, because you'll see what else you can do with them in just a minute that you can put into your cards. So this Arty card paper can be used in so many ways. And so right now we're cutting the shape of a tree. Now you could be doing all kinds of things. You could make all kinds of collage with this kind of paper too. You can make different kinds of colors of paper and create a whole collage using Arty paper. And now I'm just painting in some of the palm fronds, and I'm using, this is liquid acrylic, okay, or fluid acrylic. This is golden. I'm using, I think I have sap green, and what is the turquoise? That's a Master's Touch turquoise there. I can't remember which one it is. But I just bring a little bit of that in, and then I'm also going to bring a little bit of white in to put some highlights in. And you just use what you have. You can do this with watercolor if you want. But I liked the boldness of the acrylics with the trunk. I think it worked out really nice. And so check out my Amazon store. I do have a lot of that stuff also sitting there that you can pick up also. And anything you buy in my Amazon store, I do make a small commission from that. I'm supposed to tell you that before, if people are not telling you to sending you to Amazon stores, they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to tell you that they make a small commission. So I am telling you I make a small commission, but it doesn't affect your pricing. But it does help support my channel. That little bit goes a long way. And this is just white craft paint I have here. It's acrylic white craft paint. Nothing special. It's not even golden or anything like that. It's just a generic craft paint. But it does the trick. And it just puts those little white highlights in. So sometimes you don't have to buy the most expensive product on the shelf for certain things. And doing something like this, just buying white craft paint for like $3, it does the trick. And now I have my paper puncher. This is what you could do with a lot of this leftover Arty paper. You could take one of those Dr. P.H. Martin bleed proof white containers, which I think I might actually do that myself now that I'm saying that. I'm going to fill up one of those containers with just paper punch a bunch of this until it's all used up, and put all those little dots in one of those containers, and then I have it for when I want to do something cute like this again. So all I'm doing is putting matte medium down, and I'm going to put all these little cut pieces. They're going to be like the little Christmas ornaments that are hanging from the tree, and just going to sprinkle those little colors around. And what was I doing? I was sprinkling a little bit of that on there. I don't think I got much on there. I don't remember what I was thinking. But this is matte medium going down. The one at the top, the white at the top is the matte medium. The white at the bottom is the acrylic. So you can see what I'm doing. So the paint is still kind of wet, and the matte medium's wet. And I'm not analyzing in my mind. You're wondering, how do I go about making my stuff? I don't painstakingly, precisely put the little balls in specific spots. I just quickly put the glue down and let it be what it's going to be. Lot looser thinking. So that's how my mind works. I don't overthink anything. And I'm just now putting just a few of them in the center where it looks like it just needs a little something. And I'm getting more matte medium out. And just dotting that around. Now I'm going to get my piece of paper, and I have my micro beads there. And where I just sprinkled, just put a little bit of that matte medium down. Now I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit of the really vibrant pink on there, and look at how adorable that turned out. It is so stinking cute. And so I cannot wait to see what you guys do. And then, of course, this is varnish. This is just UV protectant varnish that I'm throwing over the top. It just kind of seals everything. It kind of helps hold it in place. And, of course, because I'm doing a series, this series, I'm going to put the little dots along the bottom. And so that's what I'm going to do with this. And I didn't put it on the tree trunk because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. And as I'm going across this, I'm figuring out, yeah, I want to put it across the trunk too. I just felt like it needed to be tied in all the way across. So I do go in like right now, and I'm going to grab some more and I'm going to put it right on the trunk and let it continue on across the entire card. So, I mean, you don't have to put it across the trunk if you don't want, but that was my decision at the moment. And now these are going to get a couple little ties. I cut these a little bit short, so I can't really put I'm trying to put a bow there. It's just not long enough to put a bow. So I'm just going to put a knot in it and call it a day. I'm not gonna fret about it. Okay, the other ones have bows. These just have ties. There's nothing wrong with that. But then I'm going to do another little trick here. And that is I'm going to bling out the edge of that raw silk. I'm just going to dip it in that gold and then lay it down carefully and let that dry. I'm just going to go in, dip those ends in, and put that to the side to dry. And I do that to all the cards in the series, so everything is the same. Ooh, shaky, shaky, shaky. What was I doing? Why was I so shaky? Well, I am shaky. My left hand is I have really bad tremors. And sometimes when my hand gets in a certain position, it really goes crazy. That might have been what was happening. But I'm so used to it. I don't even notice how bad I am. Others do. I don't. I'm so used to it. We learn to live with our disabilities. Okay, so what am I doing now? I'm doing some final touch on something. And I'm going to put that away. Okay, I'm going to put that away. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, and the final thing that I'm going to do, is I just have a stamp here. I just have some wax. This is special wax that you use for putting a seal on an envelope or a card or whatever you might want to put a seal on. And it's a little bit different wax than the other typical ones that you find. It's a little bit creamier, melts a lot faster. And, of course, Skitty decides to come up on the table. See, this is what I'm talking about. She's naughty today. She comes up on the table when I have an open flame. Oh, and she's got fur. But she's okay. She was okay. She did freak me out a little bit, I have to say. So I'm just drizzling that little bit of wax on there. And this stamp has got an emblem of a bee on it. And because my name is Deborah, in Hebrew, the name Deborah means bee. So that's why I put bees in a lot of stuff. Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was a ton of fun. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and God bless. Bye for now.